Southeast Radio's Business Matters with Carl Fitzpatrick.
Southeast Radio.
Adam Dalton from Robotify. Robotify has recently partnered with WozEd, the company of Apple co-founder Steve Wozniak, and Adam joins me now to tell us about this exciting development. Adam, we'll be discussing Robotify's partnership with the co-founder of Apple, but first, I'd like to find out how you and your co-founder, Evan Darcy, developed the idea for Robotify.
Absolutely, Carol. So we came up with the idea for Robotify at the age of 16 in our local school there in St. Paul's when we were trying to look for ways to teach the first years how to code. And we kind of realized that there wasn't many options for kids who were traditionally kind of inclined to be good with their hands and to be seeing kind of real life examples of their learning. So when we found that robots had I suppose, an amazing effect with those kids, we really ran with the idea, and we've always kind of tried to find ways of focusing on the mission of using robots to teach kids how to code.
And Adam, how does it work?
Yeah, so if you go on robotify.com, you log on, you're able to go through a series of lessons. So we've got, I think it's over 700 challenges on our website that kids can go through. We usually recommend that it's good for children ages kind of in the age range of anywhere between 8 and 14, and it can go kind of higher. And you can sign up for an account, and you can sign up for a free trial and essentially start coding all these robots in virtual worlds. So you can control robots like the Mars rover, underwater ROVs to explore virtual shipwrecks, and aerial drone technology to fly around the park, all from the comfort of your own laptop. And it all runs in browser. So, you know, it actually runs across any device as long as you're running a browser like Google Chrome or Microsoft Edge. And it should run in all major browsers. So it's very easy to access, and all the lessons are there online, and there's a learning dashboard which allows the students to control their robots in a series of worlds, and it's very easy to access.
So what is the business model that underpins the business, and what are your income streams?
So we have a few different options. Our main marketplace would be in the education market. So we'd service teachers a lot. And we would have a lot of schools, especially across the United States. But we do have users in over 100 different countries, and that would be a kind of a teacher-led approach whereby schools are using it. But then we realise, obviously, that there's parents, many parents out there that would love to get their kids, signed up in coding, and so we've actually built a pricing package for parents to get their kids coding online.
And what was your approach to gaining scale across the school market in the US?
So we've got a variety of different strategic partners across the States, which have allowed us to tailor our market. But what we find in the US is that it's such a forward-thinking market, and you'll always get a meeting in the States, and you'll always get someone's ear. And I think the state of the market at the moment is that there's been for us anyway, since COVID, and thank God we've seen a big increase in business because of our virtual robots. So with the likes of Steve Wozniak being on board with the mission, it just does more things for our brand as a small Irish company to be able to grow in the States. So it's a matter of market. I think timing as well is another key piece, and then some good strategic partners like Steve Wozniak.
Yeah, and on the topic of Steve Wozniak, of course, you've partnered with his company, WozEd. How did this opportunity present itself for you?
I suppose it's maybe a bit of a look of the Irish, as our partners would say. We were always kind of, myself and Evan and the team were always putting our name out there and trying to get in front of influential people, and through a connection in my network, basically an introduction was made to the CEO of WozEd, a wonderful woman by the name of Karen Young. We got talking, and it was interesting to hear their business is predicated around selling physical pathways. And so a school would order maybe for the drone pathway, they might order 10, 15 drones, and they'd get these drones in boxes, and you can imagine gets shipped to the students, and there's a huge amount of curriculum to show the kids how to control the drones and stuff. And this would get shipped into the classroom. Now, obviously during COVID, certain elements of the business have been hit in that regard, because schools are spending on PPE and and spending on other types of expenditure. So when we met each other, it was like a match made in heaven, because our solution was perfect and their market was perfect and their mission was perfect, and they just merged together. And then obviously we received the video from Steve, and he's actually agreed as well to speak at the Robotify Virtual Expo in September.
That is an absolutely great story, I have to say, Adam. Now, talk to us about the detail of the partnership itself, because ultimately, is it a reseller model where WozEd is going to be reselling the Robotify content into educational institutions across the US?
Yeah, so it's actually quite a big partnership in and itself with regards to the kind of scope. So it's not just a reseller agreement. So more or less, the team in WozEd will actually be selling Robotify's virtual lessons as it is today. But what's really interesting about this actual agreement is that we're also agreeing to co-brand a custom version of the Robotify software under Woz's brand. And Woz will be building their own version of Robotify with their very own content and their own curriculum, with a variety of new virtual robots and new virtual worlds on top of the existing 100 plus hours that we already have. So we're actually OEMing or white labeling our software to Woz as well to allow them to hit their strategic goals.
By 2034, it's predicted that 47% of all jobs will be automated and replaced by robots. Specifically, what sectors are most likely to adopt working robots in the coming years?
As we start to look at this, there's a lot of fear mongering, and those kind of statements make a huge amount of headlines. When we talk about robotics, your traditional kind of robot that you'd have in your head, whether that's like the Wally or the likes of the Johnny Five robot. Of course, those robots are in existence. You see the Boston Dynamic guys, and where we're really starting to see, I'd say, in the next 5 to 10 years is manufacturing already taking off, but more kind of automation in jobs that involve human labour. So, we take a look, for example, at Bobby Healy's company, Mana Aero here in Ireland, that set out to try and create a new way for people to order and get food using drone delivery technology. So we're starting to see more and more automation. I think, certainly in the consumer space, you look at Amazon, you look at the likes of Mana with drone deliveries and getting consumers the goods quicker. There's going to be a huge amount of automation there. But then as you get into the word robotics, it gets kind of a little bit wishy-washy, because it doesn't mean just, as I said, a Johnny Five kind of type robot. You're starting to then look at, automation in AI and even stuff like law and accounting, where we're going to see a huge amount of artificial intelligence start to automate some of the more kind of repeatable and repetitive tasks. But what we think is going to happen is that as a result of all this automation, there's going to be huge job creation in servicing these units, in understanding how they work, or in using them to generate new value that we haven't even thought of.
And Adam, would you agree with the thinking that for the future generations coming through the education system, that the ability to program is going to be every bit as important as numeracy and literacy skills?
I do. And, I don't think we're looking for individuals to be pro-programmers. We're just looking to get that level, that building block up there to get people going, because it is becoming a core competency. And the closer and the sooner and the quicker that we get this on our curriculum, certainly in Ireland, it's happening in the States. But the sooner we realise this is a key skill, the better. I mean, you look at Steve Wozniak back in the 60s, 70s, building computers in Apple. And this is something that's been around for all these years. Why is it taking so long to get on curriculum? Even now it's on some curriculums, and then it's not mandatory. And I see no reason why it cannot become a core subject. And my prediction would be that it does become a core subject fairly soon.
So Adam, as we look to the future, is it your plan to build Robotify to sell it or to keep the business long term?
Our goal is always to keep the business going, keep the business long term, and grow it into what I believe it can be, which is a pivotal part in the future of education and innovation in the space of coding. We always, when we started out, had the mission to reach as many kids as possible. And I'll be honest, I feel we're only scratching the surface. And so we're not even thinking of a sale or a future that doesn't involve reaching millions and millions of students across the world.
Well, if you've just tuned in, that was Adam Dalton from Robotify, and I wish Adam and his team every success in reaching their goals.
Southeast Radio's Business Matters with Carl Fitzpatrick.
Southeast